Nobody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hello.
So excited to talk with you. Just another weekend where we're chatting for an hour as though no one's listening. But I really hope someone is listening. Is anyone listening?
Yeah, this is from Megan. Hey, you guys hosted the first podcast I started listening to, Totally Lame and Totally Mommy. I'm glad to have you guys back in my ears.
Aw.
I'm currently struggling with being an unintended SAHM.
Stay-at-home mom.
Thank you. While job hunting after a family move, and I'd love to hear about how your family adjusts when Elizabeth moves in and out of phases of her projects. I could use some tips on balancing the home front while staying motivated for my own ambitions.
Wow. Thank you for the jump off, Megan.
I didn't really think you'd be qualified to answer this.
I'm like, this is the topic of conversation right now, I feel like, because I don't really have the answer. I mean, after all this time, I don't think I have figured it out yet. Now, and so I feel like at first when I'm not working, which I also have been very lucky to have been working for the last however many years, kind of pretty back to back nonstop. So I haven't been faced with the situation I'm in right now, which is almost a year and a half of I have been working, in fact, at some points very, very hard, but it's not for, what's that stuff called? Money. And
Paychecks.
There's no one like, it's a self-start kind of work situation. It's not like I'm, reporting to a boss. So, and I haven't figured out how to be graceful about it. It's been really hard. I've taken a hit on my identity. Now, the positives have been I have loved spending more time with the kids and being around and being able to see my friends more and having a much more kind of flexible existence.
I think which is a good point that you haven't let that bum you out in any ways. You've embraced that aspect where I think some people don't even allow themselves to enjoy that part.
Yeah.
Which I think is a shame in some cases.
I agree.
You can compartmentalize it in a healthy way, I think. So I think that is one cool thing is that you've been able to enjoy those aspects of it.
That's very true. And I really have. And I've also this time around, and maybe it's just because it's been a longer stretch, but I feel like usually I have the mindset of well, now I'm not going to be working in a room, so I need to finish these 800 other projects and be working all day on those. And this time around, I've really let myself have my afternoons to chill, and if I can, watching some disturbing docuseries, which for some reason I
wouldn't recommend that part as an outsider, but.
Well, I would. I mean, if it's your thing, like it is mine. But the other aspect of it, and I don't know, I'm guessing that people out there can relate, and specifically mothers, is I have struggled, and this is nothing that, Andy, you have brought to the equation truly, but I struggled a lot with, during the pandemic, I was working full time in a room, and you therefore were much more hands-on with dealing with the kids, both being online for school and doing all these quote unquote kind of traditionally mother role things. Mm-hmm. And I had so much guilt that I felt like you had to do those things. You were happy to. But now that I'm not working, I think at first I was well, now I'm going to be mom of the year and doing literally everything and cooking meals every night. And that caught up to me. And to your credit, you brought it up to me. And you were I'm starting to sense some resentment from you that you're having to be on top of meals all the time because I had said I would. Mm-hmm. But just recently in the last month, we've started doing that. I plan meals for 1 week and you plan meals for the next week. Mm-hmm. And I'm loving it. Oh. And so I feel we've reached a new kind of equilibrium where I'm not feeling oh, now that I'm not working, I have to shoulder every little everything having to do with our family. No, there's still a balance to things. And so that feels good. So in those senses, I think that things are feeling pretty good.
I think we're also, I think an interesting part of this question is she asks some tips on balancing the home front while staying motivated. And then, wait, doesn't she say something about like how Elizabeth adjusts moving in and out of these phases? We have had a lot of different phases, and it's all kind of a little blur because of COVID. But before COVID, you know, you might start a job that's not anywhere near us in LA, so your commute's big. We've had to deal with that. There's been times where I've been much busier and not around the house as much. There were times where I worked out of a completely different studio that wasn't at our house. So I think we've been used to, because both of our careers are flexible, we're used to that change. And I think sometimes there's adjustment to get to, but I think we're pretty good at those kind of even bigger changes.
Yeah, we have to adapt. We know that. And we also both work in industries. I mean, I think mine more so than yours. Where last year I was in Vancouver a lot, and not last year, 2 years ago. But there might be a situation where you have a project where you're suddenly going to have to go somewhere. You know, we're always going to have to be adapting. And a big part of that is communicating with each other and establishing with each kind of new tide what the expectations are for the other, and knowing that sometimes it's going to feel like, oh, you have to shoulder more of the home stuff, but knowing that the tables will turn at some point. And so I think you and I are really good at that. The part that I struggle with, and I have recently, in fact, like I think I'm going to get back into therapy soon, is feeling like it's not just identity. It really isn't. It's not having this constant feeling of a sense of accomplishment. I have it a little bit in I'm taking a project out that I'm really excited about. I know I've felt this way about all of my projects, but I feel really confident we're going to sell it. I'm doing it with my dear friend and coworker Terry, who is so brilliant, and I'm just very confident in this. And so working with him and being like, there's someone that I'm bouncing things off with, and someone giving me feedback that, you know, by and large is very positive. It makes me feel accomplished, but it's different from writing for TV and watching it get made, and I don't know, being a part of something collaborative that, I don't know, it's hard to explain. So I've been feeling a little like...
Let me jump in real quick. Sorry to interrupt.
I'm going to say a big word.
Oh, say it.
Worthless.
Oof, that is a big word.
And I don't want... This is not a red flag. I'm totally like stable, and even just the beginning of feeling like this, I'm like, I should go to therapy, and, you know, I don't want people worried, but...
Well, let me hop in. I mean, I'm glad that you said worthless, because I'm going to hopefully give it a different context.
Okay.
Because what I was going to jump in to say is, it sounds like what you're describing makes so much sense, especially sometimes in a creative career, especially. But when you're on a job, or you're at your job, there are goals that are being sometimes foisted upon you, or you're dreaming up, but you're constantly like working towards things, and you're seeing what happens as you work towards them. You're making progress, right? You guys are checking things off the list, whether that's you're making a show or something, or you're writing a show.
Right, or like rewriting a scene, or even writing a character description.
Right.
It's like
and then
big and small.
You can take it even further, where in your job, as that process goes further and further and further, then you're actually seeing the scene be shot. And, you know, you're seeing all these things keep happening, right?
Yeah, it's very fulfilling.
Now, that's when you're like in active work mode, let's say, or you're employed, or you're working on your own show or something like that.
Yeah.
The other part of the job, quite often, when you are not on an active job, let's just label it that, is you have to self-motivate, as you've spoken to, of like, I want to make a project that I'm going to sell and whatnot. you can be making progress of like, okay, I got the first draft done. I got the outline done. I got this. Ooh, now we have meetings and all that. That is, I think, maybe partially as gratifying as the other job stuff,
Yeah.
but there's also all these question marks because you don't actually know what's going to happen with it next. And then it can just kind of end. And then the thing you were working on never comes to fulfillment, sort of.
Yeah. And also, I think for the last two projects I took out, like one of them I took out independently, but it seemed like it was going to be like an easy sell. And I do think in a different era, it would have been. The other one, I think, was a bigger swing, but I had a phenomenal producer and an incredible director. It was like this dream team that we're going out with. And so, yeah, you're right. Like the question marks of, am I going to be rejected? Of not knowing. Like, is all of this work for naught, kind of?
Yeah.
Versus when you're writing a TV show, look, I mean, I suppose it could go out there and like tank. I don't know. But the shows I've been a part of, I've been lucky enough to be on shows where like the fans are generally very positive and supportive. And so by that point, you're just writing a thing. It's going to get made.
You're also at that point, you become part of this bigger organism that has this much bigger goal. And then if a show gets canceled or whatnot, it's a bummer. It's a much bigger bummer for the creators of the show and stuff like that. But if you're, say, a writer or an actor, yes, it can be a big bummer, but it's like, now I'm on to the next thing. I think it's a different type of rejection, I think.
And I also, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, we're speaking, obviously about this feeling like you're contributing, feeling, this feeling of accomplishment or satisfaction or fulfillment. There is also the element of feeling like in this world, we live in a capitalistic society where I'm not bringing in income.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me, even though, we're okay. It's not ideal, but we're like in a better position than many, and I'm really grateful for that. But it's emotionally hard, I think, for me, feeling like I'm not contributing, and that factors into the like, well, if I'm not contributing financially, then I need to be like Ballerina Farms,
Right.
making bread from scratch. And I haven't gotten to it yet, but like being like happy homemaker and hanging laundry up in the sunshine and whatever. I don't know. It's all of a piece. So in some ways, it's the transition I think you and I kind of can navigate because we have a lot of experience like entering these new eras and adapting to new needs on either side of our careers and schedules. But in another sense, like this stretch has thrown me more than I think I've been thrown since I started my career, which is, 8 years ago. So it's never easy. And I think this is part of the like kind of midlife thing where I'm like, I want to shake up. I want something new thrown in the mix. Is almost like I'm craving a distraction.
Yeah.
And that might be oil painting. Well, that might be renovating our bathroom. It might be starting to do shuffle dancing. I don't know. I haven't pursued any of them yet.
Well, what's interesting about that is that there really might be something to that, like that feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
While you can't get that hit instantly right now because let's say you're not on a job or something, or right? That honestly, oil painting might give you that hit of like, oh my God, I'm so much better in a month at this thing.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
I want to be in a growth mindset. And that's kind of the beauty of it. I'm not nervous about sucking at oil painting because I just know that I will, like at first.
Sure.
Without question.
Yeah.
And so I'm so open to just kind of seeing where it goes and how I grow if I do it all. Like, I don't know. I'm really excited about that. And I'm gonna sign up for those classes that nobody generously gifted me.
Yeah.
And so we'll see where it takes me. But yeah, it's like kind of a distraction, but it also does maybe scratch an itch. It's something just for me, and it's something that I can grow in.
And there's something, I think that's great for people to have that feeling. I'm currently working on a project that is taking me a little bit away from my normal workload of music stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons I've been a little bit more active. I've been posting little videos on Instagram of these like little music kind
And
of
they're so cool.
vignettes.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I've been doing that is because I haven't had as much time. I'm not doing that as much probably for the next couple months, I would say, right?
You're not doing your regular like sessions in the studio.
Yeah, because I'm pulled out of it for a little bit for a great reason that we can speak about at some point in time.
Yeah.
But I still need to scratch that creative itch. And I have been getting a feeling so great about that's been scratching the itch for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There is something about just like having mini little goals of like, I want to make a little video once a week.
Yeah. But this comment and question from Megan is like, could not be more timely, because I think that for me, emotionally, things like literally this past week kind of reached a place where I was like, oh, I gotta call in some help.
Yeah. Well, I understand you saying the word worthless. That is a bit of a...
It's a big word.
It's a big word, and it's a bit of a warning sign to me. We've talked off the pod of it might be a good time for you to chat with someone. You're not worthless because of any of this stuff whatsoever. You know what I mean? But those feelings, I think, are completely normal and valid. And but I get it. It sucks.
And I can compartmentalize, and I do not feel worthless like in our home or with our kids. I feel so connected to them right now, and I love it. And so in that sense, I'm so grateful for the time I've had, and there are huge silver linings to like this experience, and the ones that we've, I think, been talking about on the podcast over the last couple months, which is like, it's forced me to like, I'm stepping out of the machine of the entertainment industry in a way, like by force, which I haven't loved for reasons that we're talking about. But it's also made me kind of take stock of what I really want, what kind of creative person do I want to be? What kind of just person and citizen of planet Earth do I want to be? What are my like hopes and dreams outside of my career? Because I feel like sometimes the career hopes and dreams take up so much space that you don't even like you don't have the bandwidth to think about what your other hopes and dreams are. So there's been so many positives, but
it's interesting too, what you're saying about that we happen, both of us, to choose careers that we get wrapped up in a lot of these kind of things of like, we got to get to the goal, and it involves creativity and whatnot. But I think a lot of people too, maybe if their job isn't necessarily wrought with all of this stuff, they're able to have other parts of their life that can help fulfill this aspect that I think it just seems like us humans need, whether it's creative goals or an exercise goal or this hobby or something. You know, people have their own things that they're like, it just seems like people want to accomplish stuff, you know, and whether that's like, I'm training for this 5K that I'm going to feel good after I do the 5K. It's like everywhere you look, there kind of is these things that help us feel that thing, which is interesting. I don't know. It's like a big human nature thing.
This week's episode is brought to you by my birthday. And for my birthday, I would love for you guys to come support the show over at patreon.com/nobodieslisteninright. Another way you can support us is by sharing the show with one of your friends who you think is like-minded and would enjoy us. Again, that's patreon.com/nobodieslisteninright. You get a bonus episode every month and all of our love and devotion. I was listening to this French podcast.
Wait.
I think it's called Intermediate French.
Oh, Jesus.
That can't be right.
It's probably completely right.
I'll shout it out next time. I really like it. It's for intermediate French speaker. Hey, that's something I've been doing that's been very fulfilling.
See, but it's interesting. You should almost, have you not been paying enough homage to that
Right.
for yourself?
Right. That's so true. And it's something I really enjoy. Now I enjoy it. And then I go through periods of extreme frustration because I think language learning is not linear. And it's been like, it's the type of thing that you feel like you're getting better. And then
How do you say worthless in French?
Rien de. Oh, that's really hard. What's worth? Value. I wonder what value is. I don't know. So thank you. No, but I can understand this podcast pretty well now, which is cool. It's just like the speaking for me. I've done a few of these things where you hire a teacher to spend a half hour with you on Zoom. And my teacher happened to be the type who won't speak English really. So she just uses like simpler and simpler ways of trying to explain things to me. And sometimes I'm just on Google Translate on the side, like typing my fingers till they cramp. So long story short, though, it's challenging enough that I've gotten frustrated with it, which I think is a good thing.
Sure.
But anyway, this French podcast was saying today's episode was all about like how to build habits, how to break bad habits. And the way he broke it down was so interesting. And maybe other people listening to this are like, yeah, that's a well-known thing. But it's like if you have a bad habit, you have to establish what the signals are for the habit. So the example was, let's say every day at 5 p.m., you're going to get a cake and eating it.
Okay.
And like, it's not a good habit because it's so much sugar. It's not healthy for you. You don't feel good afterwards, blah, blah, blah. But it's now a habit of yours. So it's like identify the signals. The signals might be that, oh, it's 5 p.m., so this is when I do it. It might be that I'm hungry.
Okay.
So this is why I do it. Or it might be like I'm bored.
Okay.
So this is why I do it. And then take the signal that you think is the strongest signal and adapt a new habit to it. Or not adapt, attribute a new habit. So
Swap out.
If it's I'm hungry, then instead of going to get a cake, why don't you go get something that won't leave you feeling so terrible and maybe that doesn't have so much sugar or whatever that's going to have you crash. A donut. A cigarette. These are French people.
Yeah.
No, I don't even know, like a healthy snack, an apple and peanut butter. If that's healthy, don't come at me. I feel like you can't say anything. So, or I'm bored. So instead of going to get the cake, then start learning a new language. And that's the time of day that you go out for a 5-minute walk and listen to whatever. It's really interesting and illuminating, but it also drove home how forming a new habit requires you to like consistency is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. So it's better to be like, I'm doing this thing every single day until it becomes habit, even if it's just for a fraction of the time that I'm like wishing for it to be.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to talk to you. I wanted to bring that up anyway, and this is a good transition.
Yeah.
To forming habits.
I agree with all of that. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think perfection gets in the way of progress. And so if it's something like oil painting, I'm like, well, I have to sign up for this class. I need to get the right like smock. I need all of this stuff. I have to dedicate 3 hours a week to it. Yeah. And if I can't do all of that, then it's not worth doing. And that's just not. It's better to take little bites and see how it goes. And
yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
Am I boring you?
No. If
Are you
look bored,
ennuyeux?
Am I
ennui?
what?
Ennui.
The only reason
ennui. I don't know.
The only reason I might seem a little tired is we just gorged ourselves on Domino's.
I didn't gorge.
You didn't? Mm-mm. How many slices did you have?
2.
Oh, that's it?
How many did you have?
Oh, fuck. I think I had 4 pan slices and then cinnamon twists, and I am like in a coma all of
It
a
was
sudden.
good, Domino's. But can I shame you for a minute?
Yeah, I kind of, how I feel right now, I want to be shamed. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I want to be bad. I want you to tell me I'm a piece of shit.
Okay. I feel like this week, I just know, because I was looking at her credit card statement, that you've had Taco Bell. You had, then the next day, Panda Express.
That was hey, stop it. The Panda Express that was a lunch date with a friend, and we were excited to try. They have a new Hot Ones bourbon chicken. And unfortunately, I don't go to Panda Express, so I don't know the moves that one should make.
Did you go to a mall? Like, where is there a Panda Express?
This is what's going to be crazy for you. Now that you know of it, and we're going to have this conversation right now, they're everywhere.
I'm going to start seeing them everywhere?
Oh, they're fucking everywhere.
I only think of them as being in mall.
I think that's the last time I had it back in the day. But I just went so big at Panda Express that I have the similar feeling as to the Domino's feeling I'm having right now.
Yeah.
But where if I would have gone to Panda Express and you can pick like just getting one entree.
Yeah.
And had I just gotten the Hot Ones bourbon chicken and like some fried rice, that would have been like a nice, sensible lunch. It really would have.
Yeah.
But no, I got 3 entrees. Then they upsold me on like the egg rolls. And then I had to get a soda because I was just being reckless. You know what I mean? It could have gone smoother.
I mean,
how'd you know I went to Taco Bell?
Because I was looking at her credit card statement to see if I was getting charged for that magazine scan.
Well, I went to Taco Bell because I didn't eat lunch, and then I had a haircut appointment at 3, and I was like, I haven't eaten lunch, and I was going to the haircut appointment, and I was like, I got to get something real quick, so I went through the drive-thru, and I got 2 soft tacos.
Okay, but it's just, speaking of habits and how consistently it seems that you're getting fast food. And today I requested Domino's because we went to a party last night. I had one drink, but it was, a strong drink, and I didn't eat very much. And I knew last night, I was like, I want to eat something when we get home. But then it was so late, and I knew nothing was going to hit because I wanted Domino's. And then today we got it, and it, to me, was good, but Domino's never ends good. I mean, even for me, I had 1 thin slice and 1 pan slice and 2 cinnamon twists. And I don't feel good either.
I have to eat this tomorrow for lunch. I'm not throwing it away.
No.
Like, I'm going to eat it for lunch.
So that's 4 fast food meals you've had in...
So this is a shame. It's just a fast food shame?
Yeah.
I want you to make me feel worse than just fast food because this bounces right off me.
It does?
Yeah. I'm like, maybe I'm sort of ashamed, but especially all these instances.
Yeah.
It was your idea to get Domino's. The Hot Ones bourbon chicken at Panda Express, that was like a fun thing with a friend. Taco Bell was like just out of necessity. None of these aren't shameful experiences. So I need you to be like do something else to make me feel
here's one.
Like a bad boy.
Okay. Last night, you had a couple beers, big beers.
Yeah.
And which is rare for you, very rare. I can't even think of the last time you had 2 beers.
Okay.
Usually, we'll get a cocktail or something. Mm-hmm. And to me now, you know how you're so sensitive to alcohol now, and you're like, I cannot imagine having more than 2 drinks. I would totally regret it. Mm-hmm. Beer to me, like if I have a beer, I feel, I don't know what it does to my body. But anyway, you had 2 beers. Then we came home. The whole way home, you're debating whether or not you're going to have ice cream, which is your nightly ritual. And you said you had laid off of it, but I can see that it's crept back in quite a bit where you're having ice cream more regularly.
Yeah.
And it's Ben & Jerry's cookie dough ice cream that you have in bed. Mm-hmm. And then so what you do is you have a bowl of it. We're watching an iPad in bed. you also often will bring a sidecar or like a finishing off of 10 Pringles or chips of some sort. And you bring like a napkin that you rest on your stomach. And last night, you ultimately landed, I thought, on you're not going to have ice cream. But then you went and got ice cream.
Well, the babysitter.
You're a bad boy.
The babysitter, I could do it.
The babysitter said you could?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything else to shame you with.
Oh, this was easy.
So let's talk about last night.
Great.
So we were going to an event where you actually ended up knowing quite a few people.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
And so excited to see some people I hadn't seen in so long that I didn't know we were going to be there. And that was great.
That's always so nice.
Love it.
Really fun. And I met a bunch of new people and it was very fun and chatting. It was great.
Yeah.
Wonderful night. I did something so weird.
I'm ready. Are you bad?
Well, I was bad but like good. But I was speaking with someone, a younger person.
Okay.
In their early 20s, like setting out on life. And I could tell from how they were talking that they were very Christian. And also what they were wearing, I could tell, because there were there was like a cross earring, there was a cross necklace, there was a lot of signposts. And
I'm so unobservant.
Well, you were talking to someone else, and I was talking to this person for quite a while. And honestly, one of the highlight conversations of the night for me. But I was so glad that you were caught up in your other conversation, because you would have been like, what are you doing? I became so Christian during this conversation. I don't know why. I wanted this person to really respect me, and I wanted to have really good rapport with them. And I felt like there was a pretty clear path in. And that path is the path of the Lord. And so I hopped up in Jesus's arms, and there was one set of footprints through this conversation, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
So I started using words like, it's a blessing.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yes.
What?
I became so Christian.
This says so much about you.
My need to be liked.
Like need to be liked, people pleasing.
Well, it was a two-way street. It wasn't just me needing to be liked. I swear to God. Mm-hmm. It was also that, this is going to sound so stupid, but I was proud of this person that I was talking to.
Yeah.
For what they're doing in life.
Great. I like that.
And, they're hanging out with someone. I guess kids now don't date until you're like officially boyfriend, girlfriend, but they've been hanging out.
Really?
And it looks like it's going that way. They met at church.
Okay.
I said it's so...
Oh my God. This is unreal.
I said it's so important to share values with the person that you're going to spend your life with.
Well, that is... Okay, now I'm like, that's a weird thing that you're laughing about. That is important.
No, it is.
Why is that part that you're laughing about?
Because it was in the context of Christian values. Like, it was all kind of coded. Do you know what I mean? As though it's...
That's not coded at all. She told you she met this person at church.
Yeah.
And that's not coded.
Okay.
I guess, in some ways for them, you're saying... Oh, that's nice. I get it. Like you'd want to be with someone that shares your values.
Yes, but I was saying it very much in a way of like, you want to be with someone, as I am, who shares your values, like us Christians.
Right.
Like she might... I would be shocked if she left that conversation thinking I wasn't Christian.
And instead you were like, wow.
And she was asking how we met. And I told the story of you were my crush. And then you saw me on the New York street and we hadn't talked in 13 years. And back then there weren't phones or social media or whatever. And I said, it felt like a gift from God. Which, like, all of this is true.
I get it. I
You
get
know,
it. No,
like
yeah,
I wasn't lying about any of it, and I was saying like I feel so blessed with my children. It was just like I started speaking a different language.
Well, okay, two things are my takeaway from this. One is, yeah, you are kind of, nothing you said was untrue. You were kind of just swapping out words.
Yes.
And in some ways, it is almost an acknowledgement of something out of your control going on that you can't explain.
Which I talk, I feel that.
And then you are
I
saying,
believe in whatever.
and why I'm giving you shit about laughing about the values thing is because, like, no, you do believe that you should share value. Like,
I do. By the way, I said the two most important things you should, like, to me, should be biggest priorities in your relationship.
wow, you were giving advice. Okay.
Yeah.
Go on, preach.
Sharing values
And no premarital sex?
and humor. Having a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That didn't land. That one didn't
yeah.
land. No landing on that.
Yeah.
But
that's okay.
I wanted this to be a good experience for her as much as I wanted her to like me. But it both seemed required for this conversation to go to the level.
It's so funny.
But
because
I was like, you were standing truly. At first I was like, I hope she's not hearing this. And then I was like,
well, because I would have jumped in and said something stupid and put you on Front Street probably.
I did. So at first I was like, oh, he's not hearing it. And then I was like, and now I'm in too deep. If you had turned your head, 17 degrees to the left and seen this conversation and heard what was coming out of my mouth, you would have been so confused.
Oh my God.
So
it's like oddly disappointing.
I knew you'd be disappointed. And I'm like,
but it's so
I was being honest. And you know what it made me realize? I have more in common with Christians than...
Well, that's the problem. I feel very conflicted about this because part of me is like, you're being a phony, but like a genuine phony.
Yeah. And you know what? Also, it made me realize, like, we've talked about this before. I mean, man, oh man, the wind could have blown in a slightly different direction and I would have been in a cult. I would be like, I would be up there like youth minister, leader, extraordinaire. I mean, just life could have panned out in so many different ways because I love having something to believe in. I love structure.
Yeah.
I love rules. I loved last night being Christian for a minute and having a common ground with her that automatically meant we were in this together. We both shared our love of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And by the way, I do love Jesus Christ. I just, as a person,
I'm worried you're going to get smited right now.
No, I do. I think I do. So we've talked about this.
You're looking up at the sky.
I do more than you. I do. If there's someone in this room going to be smited, it's going to be you.
Why would you say that? Why do you think I'm going to be smited?
Because you don't respect JC the way I do. I look at JC like a really selfless, cool guy. And you look at JC like kind of a wannabe cult leader.
Yeah. I don't really respect JC. There
you go.
I have respect for his father, God,
Yes.
G-O-D. But JC, I'm like kind of like entitled rich kid that like could have, is kind of a poser.
Rich kid. He was born in a manger.
No, I know, but he was like God's son, rich in the sense of like
I really
you're
respect
God's son.
Mary. Mary had to pull some magic out of a hat to get through that whole situation.
Yeah, I respect Mary.
So
I'm Team Mary. And you know what? I don't think my rich analogy is landing, which I understand. I need a better analogy. But yeah, I don't think Jay-Z, a Nepo baby.
JC.
JC.
I also recently read a Bible verse that has stuck with me.
Okay.
I read it on Instagram as like a quote, it was on a story or something. But it was in response to, as we enter kind of the final frontier leading up to the election and how...
Okay, go on.
Well, how... I forget what it was talking about, but I'd imagine it must have something to do with how we have this like buffoon billionaire, speaking of nepotism, running for office versus like a real person. And the quote was something like, basically, it's easier to like put a camel, I'm going to get this so wrong, in the eye of a needle, like thread a camel through the eye of a needle, than it is to have a rich man get into the kingdom of heaven.
Whoa.
Which I was like, wow. See, it has truly stuck with me this whole week. I've been like, holy shit. Like, do those people know that that's in the Bible? Because you would want to be getting rid of some of that excessive wealth. Like, if you really want to get into the kingdom of heaven, it's right there, black and white.
So if this is a political thing,
yes.
If this was like animated, it's like the camel can get through it, but like the politician with all of his money can't get through it.
It's easier. Okay. Oh my gosh, I was actually pretty close. It's Matthew 19:24. In fact, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into God's kingdom.
And what's God's kingdom?
Heaven.
It is heaven?
Yeah. So I'm like, should someone tell some of these people?
But here's the problem, though.
Yeah.
You know what's left out of that? Well, it's easier, right? But the rich guy then just got to throw a few more bucks at the gate. You know what I'm saying? No. I'm being serious.
Are you?
Yeah.
But
it's like the camel's going to get in. It's easier for the camel, but it's going to be a little harder for
to go through the eye of a needle.
I know.
That's an impossibility. You can't put a camel.
So in this case, the camel's not getting in. Why does Matthew have a problem with the camels then?
The eye of the needle is not the entrance to heaven. It's saying it's easier for this fully impossible thing to happen than it would be for a rich man to get into heaven.
So the camel's fine.
Yeah, the camel's...
Welcome. Come on in.
Don't worry about the camel in heaven.
I'm looking out for the camel. The camel is fine. He's coming in.
Sure.
Are animals welcome into the kingdom?
Yes, I really believe so.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't read the whole Bible in a while.
Okay. Okay, I'm with you.
Do you see what I'm saying? So that has really kind of like, I don't know. I love that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, do you know if you're rich?
You're not going to heaven?
Elon Musk, you're building a thing to Mars, but I don't know if he's Christian, so I don't know if it matters to him, really.
I don't know either.
And I don't know that Donald Trump is Christian either, but he sure... He was doing what I was doing last night. He's speaking Christian to people like he is one.
Yeah. And what do you call that? It's kind of being phony?
Well, yeah. I feel like in his case, we can...
I'm so bummed I really didn't get to overhear you being this.
It was kind of like wonderful. It made me feel... it made me feel like I was part of something and that I also like was doing it so successfully, I think.
Like duping them? Because that's not...
No,
were you being it's weird. You seem like you were being genuine, but you also knew you were being sneaky, which is kind of devilly sounding.
Well, listen, I spent a lot of my time in my life being Catholic.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's this full, it's not like I'm talking to a mobster and suddenly being like, yeah, he's swimming with the fishies. You know, I'm not like taking on a whole new personality. It was just kind of dipping back into what I, like was at one point and kind of know. I wanted to communicate in a way that I think we get it.
I think we get it. Can I switch gears a little bit and pitch you something?
Please. Oh, yeah.
I was playing Rocket League with the boys this week.
Nice.
And I was asking Josh, who we mentioned last week, more about his rock machine a little bit. Got a little bit more details about it. You can polish rocks with it, but it's not a rock tumbler. But
You said it was huge.
It's big.
How big?
I don't know,
Like the
4
size
feet
of...
by 2 feet. It's a big machine.
Okay.
Pretty big.
Like a chest, the size of
Unfortunately, I'm not going to have much more info on... This was just a segue to where we ended up.
Okay. Okay.
And somehow it got to... We were talking about rocks and stuff. And then I felt kind of crazy saying this because I didn't know how it would be received. And I was so glad it was received with open arms. Everyone was on board. But I said, I kind of at some point want to have my metal detector era with the metal detector walking, the guys on the beach thing. Mm-hmm. And everyone was like, oh my God, looks like so much fun. And then we were trying to figure out where else can you go besides the beach? Because I'm not a beach guy. Where else can you go with a metal detector, right? Do you have any answers to that?
Let's see. There's beach.
Public park.
But you don't want to start digging up in a public park.
Fields?
The nice thing about the beach is you get one of those sifters.
Well, I know.
No, not a field. You face the same kind of public park situation. I mean, I don't know, city streets,
But what are you digging up? Or
you're not digging.
And you're not the stuff would just be on the ground if the metal detector was finding it.
Yeah, I'm really surprised you're doing this or you're talking about this because we had a metal detector for a while.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago.
And I never really used it.
You seemed to have no interest. Otis and I took it for a spin quite a few times.
Yeah.
And had a really fun time. And you, I think you like the idea of it more than it. And I'm sorry to say that.
You might be right.
Yeah. I think that you and very similar to what we're talking about for me, and I'm already kind of here where I'm I need an era.
Yeah.
You will have eras, but I don't know if that's it.
It seems, here were the pluses we were all talking about. It seems so meditative because you're kind of zoned in, waiting for the beep. You're doing a continuous movement and you're walking.
You get that serotonin hit.
If you get the thing, it checks so many boxes.
Yes.
Then we were talking about I need to go down this rabbit hole. There must be some metal detector influencer content creators on TikTok and whatnot, right? Because that would be really fun to watch them do that. Uh-huh. Then we got a little perverted with it. And I think this could not lose on TikTok, okay? You're a woman. You've got great legs, great manicured feet, okay?
Yeah.
So it's a POV of a woman, great legs, great feet, walking the beach with the metal detector. So
you're looking down.
Yeah. Now, it also, besides the POV shot where, you're seeing the wand, I guess, and the legs and the feet. Then
you're seeing the footprints in the sand.
You're seeing the footprints in the sand. Occasionally, you're seeing the scooper and did we find something or not? You're always waiting for that. That's exciting. And then maybe you have a reverse drone shot. There's those drones that literally will just follow people around. You don't even have to do anything.
No, I didn't know that.
So you have the drone that's following you if you're
That's
the woman,
scary.
right? And let's say, I think she's in a nice bikini or something, but you never see the face, right?
Yeah.
But you see a nice her from behind.
Okay.
I think that would kill on TikTok. And then, and she's finding cool stuff too. But you never see her.
I don't know that.
You never see her face.
Okay.
This is just my fantasy for this content creator.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think this is so fucking weird that I don't know. It's a weird thing that 4 guys are sitting around getting how excited you were just getting talking about it. Mm-hmm. That would be something none of you could do.
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad you said that. Then, I can't remember if it was BDT or Josh, said, oh God, wouldn't it be so funny if it was just one of us and it was like AI that was like putting a filter on our legs.
Oh, so stupid. Okay. Like, this whole thing, like, you're never going to do this.
Never going to do what?
I don't think you're ever going to have your metal detector era.
I know. Well, the
and
beach
then I
part
also
of it
like
really...
you're never going to be a woman in a nice bikini, as you said, with great legs, great manicured feet. Like, this is all so weird, Andy. So I don't really have much response.
I thought you would at least have like a thought on how great of an idea it is for somebody.
Does it exist?
I don't know. Now I got to see if it exists, I guess.
Well, don't work too hard to find out if it exists. But what about? Yeah, okay. I don't even know where to go from. I feel, I don't know. Maybe the dominoes just hit.
Mm.
Are you genuinely annoyed that I'm not on board?
No,
Okay.
I'm not annoyed. You do you.
Okay.
You know. I would hate for you to have to put on any sort of face or airs to make someone feel comfortable in a conversation.
Wow, touche. Good job. Good job. I wish you had more information about the rock tumbler. And I don't
It's more of like
still know what it does.
It's more of like a polisher or like a sander.
And you
Polisher.
put a bunch of rocks in it?
No, it's not a bunch.
Okay, so this is good. You put one rock in it.
You don't ever put a rock into it.
Okay.
I think you walk up to it and like you polish rocks with it. It's
How
almost
big
like,
of rocks?
I think it's a big machine, so I think the rocks can really vary in size.
And then why did he get this?
That I don't know.
Because I assumed it was something to do with his work as a
He's a really good
master carpenter.
Yeah,
and
really good with wood.
Maybe he's doing stuff with stone and marble and
it's not for like huge
surfaces.
pieces. But he's always like outside of woodworking stuff, he's always like to make other cool stuff too. So I think this is just like something like, oh, I'd love to make some cool rock stuff. He's showed us some examples of some stuff he's just getting started with that look really cool. They were on the smaller-ish side of rocks.
Okay.
When I saw the machine, I thought it was much bigger. Like that he would be doing much bigger things, but it's like all sizes.
Oh, you know what I thought of when you were talking about the metal detector era? Was speaking of like having an era of something or a hobby that becomes like all consuming, and it's also totally addictive for the like serotonin hit of finding the thing. On one of my disturbing docuseries, it was about this woman who went missing. They still don't know what happened to her. It seems like there are a couple of different theories. She was living kind of a secret life, but there was this group of women that dedicated themselves to finding missing persons.
Oh.
And she was part of this group. And then she goes missing.
Oh.
But, you know.
That's no good.
No good. But also, I was like, I could 100% see how fulfilling that must be. You're putting your time and energy towards something that's like so positive and has helped reunite families with their loved ones. And, you know, I know that there are people out there who do this, and there's so many missing children and things like that, where I thought, what a noble, I mean, it's like a really intense thing to take on in your life. I mean, you really, really gotta care about it, I think.
Or I don't know if that's right, actually. I think you have to enjoy that work and do a great job. But I wonder if, like, when you say care about it, I think it's care about the work. I think there's some cases where it's like you can't get too emotionally invested probably in the people you're trying to find and whatnot.
So true.
Yeah,
So true. Now, I've been watching so many of these series that, like, these detectives who are working on these cases and cold cases and stuff. you know, unfortunately, in many of these cases, like a body is found or something like that. And for the detectives, they cannot help but form a relationship with the person that they're looking for, because you have to get to know who this person is so well to try to understand what has happened to you. And so I think in a lot of cases, and unfortunately, it's usually women and children who go missing. They feel like a fatherly, so it's really a devastation, and then also if they don't ever find them, it feels like such a failure. Watching these gives me such a newfound huge respect for like detectives and, legit detectives, and also kind of PIs and people who do this, because I'd imagine it becomes all consuming in a way that, like, I feel like if I tried to bite that off, it would become very unhealthy and like.
You think? You think?
What?
Hey, just so you know, my metal detector thing wasn't all great legs and bikinis. We also spoke to, and I think we have a friend that this happened to, and I'm hoping this jogs your memory, that it would also be awesome to be part of one of those crews that helps people find the lost wedding rings, because there's like a group there's like an organization online. If you lose your wedding ring, you go on it, and then they have the network of metal detector guys on the beach.
Yeah.
Don't we have a friend who someone found their ring that way?
I feel like there is a story about that.
Yeah.
I don't mean to like.
That's noble, though.
Take the air out of your balloon.
Yeah.
But the reason we had that metal detector was because I lost my wedding ring.
Yeah.
On our property somewhere.
Yeah.
And you not once took the metal detector out to try to find your own wife's wedding ring.
Yeah, but because you had already done the area that you thought it was, and before the metal detector even got here, I turned this whole area thing upside down looking for your ring.
You're getting so defensive. I would find it so interesting if you joined a group of people whose whole thing is to go out with metal detectors to find random strangers' wedding rings when you yourself didn't even take it for a whirl.
Well, because you tried to find it.
I know, but it's not. Do you think that attitude is going to help you with these crews? Oh, if one person tried to find it, I shouldn't try? That's not the right attitude. Oh, you know what? He walked along the beach and looked for it already, so we don't need to. And now, these people are going out over and over the same areas. Metal detectors like have different sensitivities, and so you already shit the bed on that.
I might have just stepped in it in a pretty big way. But is there a but?
I really want to find that ring, by the way. I know it's been a couple of years now.
Well, it's weird. Maybe all this is happening because you were literally talking about it today. So this is kind of crazy that all of this is happening right now.
It is crazy, but this band...
Do I need to get a metal detector and look for your ring back here now?
Why don't you just go borrow our friends? I mean, this ring I have that was replacing the other one does not...
Hold on, I'm getting really excited.
Okay.
Are you saying it's not... You would be... Hold on. Are you saying that I could redeem myself if I borrowed the metal detector and gave it another shot?
Yes. And another thing I want you to do, because when...
Is it metal detector involved?
Yes, that can be involved. Yes. I also want you to lift up one of the deck boards.
I've wanted to do that for a long time. I'm so down to do that.
Okay, because I think that at the time it was really rainy, so we weren't going to do that because it was like the wood. Now the wood is dried out, and I want you to do that.
I also want to be honest. The last time I am feeling very defensive and also disappointed in myself because this metal detector fantasy, while had so much fun during Rocket League coming up with all these other fun angles.
Do you guys... oh, go ahead.
But I feel like I've had metal detector fantasies throughout my life. So I'm disappointed in myself that when we did have one for a few days, but I think I recall you being like, oh, this isn't going to help us find it. Does that ring a bell to you at all that like...
No, well, I said that about if it were under the deck, which for some reason I'm like, of all the places, I think that's where it is because the deck has so many screws and there's other junk under there. Like it's not like it's going to go off based on this tiny, tiny little piece of metal and we're going to be like, it's it. I mean, it was going off the whole time it was on the deck.
I think that was what it was. You were like, this is worthless for this area where we think it potentially is.
But I still think, I mean, if you really deep down had a curiosity and love for metal detectors, you would have, Otis and I were out in the yard and you would have.
Where was I, though?
Not participating. Who knows? You were in the house doing God knows what. But
this is fucking tough to hear.
Do you guys talk about like what the other boys' eras will look like?
Well, yeah, but what was fun was that, so I might have skipped over this, is I was worried that when I said metal detector, everyone would be like, that's so stupid. Everybody was like, that does sound awesome. Mm-hmm. Everybody has had that fantasy sort of. Mm-hmm. So as far as fantasy eras have gone, we didn't really get into that. But all of us, to be honest, kind of all have like little dorky hobbies that we're into already. So this group of guys, I think have good
You're primed.
Geeky shit. Like BDT has been doing like modifying these old school cool little like Casio keyboards with like soldering shit and also like he's been getting crazy. Josh got his rock machine. My brother got all of his music stuff and then his retro game stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all hobby
yours
primed.
Is like these videos that you're making and
yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
So. Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully this week we'll find my ring. I would be, it's my birthday. This drops.
Oh yeah.
I would be over the moon if you found my ring. It would make me so happy.
Also, it would be so cool for me to try this metal detector thing to see if I can AI my legs into nice women's legs.
Yeah, that would... Honestly, Andy, I will be so annoyed if you, if I saw you... If you borrowed our friend's metal detector and I saw you, out in the yard, filming yourself and, drone filming... No, please don't. I want you, if you're getting this, use it towards finding my ring. I will actually, genuinely be upset.
I'm just saying, if I'm looking for your ring, okay, I cannot not take the opportunity of just setting up a tripod to just get some footage of me looking for the ring.
Well, that's fine, I guess.
And then maybe a thing of AI will turn my legs into...
I don't like that.
Put me on a beach.
Okay.
Cool.
Good night.
Good night.